Hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. Well, this is part 2 of the servicing on the VW-T5. Hopefully you've seen part 1. If you haven't, go back, have a look. I'll put a link to that. But go back there and get yourself caught up. But make sure you come back to see part 2. But just as a quick summary, so in part 1 we changed the oil filter. Well, first of all, we repaired a fuel leak on the diesel heater, the diesel induction heater. But as far as the service goes, we started with the oil. We drained the old oil. We got the new filter in. That was a struggle, but we got it in. We've refilled it with oil. I've actually just checked the oil, and now that the van is level, we're very, very slightly under the full mark. But so probably about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a litre, possibly a half a litre still to go in, but so we'll sort that out. The other thing that we did was we drained all the coolant out of the engine, and we've just finished filling that at the end of the last video. So that's now renewed. That was actually relatively easy in the end. I didn't think it was. I thought we were going to struggle a little bit more, especially with the radiator hose, but actually it's a nice, looks like a relatively new hose, and it's on a plastic pipe. It's going into the engine. So actually, it was perfectly fine, easy to take off, easy to put back on, clamped up nicely. So all sorted there. And then the other thing that we did is we replaced the fuel filter, which is an interesting filter. It's a canister filter, not one that I've seen before personally. As I said at the start of the previous video, I've never worked on one of these vans before, so I'm learning as I go. But in essence, replace that. And again, it wasn't terribly difficult. You do need a special plier to remove those the pipes off the filter. You might get away with using like a water pump pliers, especially a small one. I think you might get away with using one of those. But look, this pliers was it was less than a tenner on Amazon, so it's worth just ordering it and having it, and then you're not going to struggle. Anyway, so this video we're going to move on. We've got the air filter to change, we've got the pollen filter to change for the cabin, and I want to replace the transmission oil for this van as well. Now to do that, we've got to get the passenger wheel off to access the filler plug. It's also the plug where you check the level of the oil, make sure that whether it's full enough. Anyway, so we're gonna start with that, get that done, and then we'll do the 2 filters, and that should be it for the service, and that hopefully will be this video. So yeah, come along, hope that you enjoy, and let's see how we get on. Okay, this is what we're working with. I'm going to try to zoom in on the drain plug. Alright, there you go. So that's it there. I can't point to it and hold the light and hold the camera, but that one there basically. As you can see, it's sort of deep in there. I'm going to have to try and get a couple of extensions on the sockets again and see if I can get in there. Otherwise I'll have to try and get in from underneath, which is going to be interesting as well. But nevertheless, I won't be able to film it, so I'm going to get on with that, and then I'll come back once I've done it. Okay, quick update. That plug actually came out not too bad, and You can see, hopefully you can see there. Just try and zoom in on that a bit. That's as far as it'll go. There you go, you can just see that plug is out. Now, I'm just going to quickly dip my finger in there to check the level. But in theory, the oil should be just below the bottom thread there. So give me 1 second and I'll do that. Okay, that feels pretty good. And that oil is actually quite clean. It's not burnt, and that's the main thing. So that's actually really good news. It seems like maybe this transmission oil was changed at some point. It's just not in the service record, so we're going to do it anyway. Okay, that oil is drained out quite easily. It initially comes out very quickly. I did have to kind of hold the drain plug over the opening just to control the flow, because I don't think my drain tub will manage that sort of flow. Been caught once like that before. But anyway, what I noticed, this oil was very thin. It was a lot thinner than I expected it to be for a gearbox oil. Now, I'm just going to go do some research and just double check that I've got the correct grade. I've got 75 W80, I believe, which in my experience is quite a low viscosity oil, as in quite a thick oil. What came out of there felt to me more like a 5W30, almost like what we put in the engine, or possibly even thinner, which is strange. So I'm just going to go double check, make sure that I've got the right grade oil. I don't know whether that oil that was in there just became thin with use and over time. The other thing I'm going to do is the van is now jacked up, as you can see. I do have a jack stand in the front as well, but that means that the front is essentially, or certainly this front left passenger side, is higher than the rest of the van. So I am going to just remove the jack stand temporarily, lower the jack slowly to try to get the van level, and hopefully then a little bit more oil will come out. But also that's how it'll have to be when we're refilling it, because it does need to be level so you can determine the level of the oil as you're refilling it. So I'm going to get all that set up now, and then I will come back and update you. Okay, I have double checked. I definitely got the right grade oil, 75 W80. So we're going to press on. Just move some of this stuff out the way and move this jack stand and raise the jack a bit more. Okay. Right, so obviously now I don't have a jack stand under the van, so I won't be doing anything underneath it whilst it's just on the jack, but hopefully we can lower this just a little bit to try and get it level. I think that's it there. It's at least relatively level anyway. It's doesn't have to be exact. You could measure it with a spirit level, I suppose, if you really wanted to, but I don't think it's that vital. So there's still a couple of drops coming out of the transmission there, so we'll give that a few more minutes. In the meantime, I'm just going to go clean up the drain plug and the fill plug, get them nice and clean and ready to go back in. We'll then get the drain plug back in and I also need to rig up a funnel and pipe arrangement in order to get the oil into that filler plug. So I'm going to do that whilst this continues to drip. Okay, the drain plugs are now clean. To show you, I've given those a good clean, both of those. Now I'm going to put a little bit of pipe thread seal on them. This is recommended, but in particular the drain plug, because obviously that's more prone to leak than the filler plug. But before I do that, let me show you what I've done in terms of the filling arrangement. So I have, you probably recognize this pipe from the part 1 of the video, but I've got that rigged up so it's running straight into the filler hole there. Try and zoom in on it. Don't know if you can see it, but I've also got it kind of cable tied up so that it doesn't fall out halfway through. But anyway, that's running in there, and then I've just got a funnel on the end of that. You can just see here, which I'm going to use to fill. Now obviously at the moment it's hanging over the wing mirror, the side mirror, but I will just hold that up whilst I'm filling. The capacity is of the gearbox is apparently 1.9 litres. I've got exactly 2 litres, so I'm expecting it to take pretty much all of that. But yeah, now I am going to have to get under there just briefly to put the drain plug back in. Now obviously without an axle stand. Just need to have a quick look and see if there's a way that I can get it in there. Just let me have a look at that quickly, just see if it'll fit anywhere. It is very low. Oh, actually, yeah. So that's there on the subframe, which will be good enough for what we need to do. Right, so we get some of this thread sealer on. It looks like it needs a bit of a shake. There we go. I don't think you need a lot. Just enough really to cover the thread all the way around. And again, this is a tapered plug, so the tapered thread plug, so it will get tight. It basically seals tighter and tighter. Yeah, the more you tighten it effectively. Right, get that in. Okay, that's in. I'll just tighten it up. There is actually a torque spec for these. For this one it would be 30 Newton meters. I'm not going to torque it now. I will torque it later when the let's get my oil pan out of the way. I will do it later when I've got the wheels back on. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's enough to seal it. If you're interested, this is effectively a hex spanner that I've got, I suppose you call it, a hex drive. So that it fits in a spark plug socket. And it's a set that I've got. It's a Sykes Pickervant, which I believe are quite a good brand. Something that I picked up from an auction, and seems to work really, really well. Right, time to fill. Now this may be a little bit comical because I don't want to cut this pipe, so it seem a bit of a waste. So it does mean that I'm going to hold it all the way up here and fill up there. So it might be a little odd, but there's a method behind my madness. So we've got another posh lift and pull set up here. I mean, it's certainly a lot easier than those little paper foil things that you struggle to get off. Yeah, this is actually very low viscosity oil. Interesting. I'm accustomed to gearbox oil being very thick. Now this could take a while because it's going to have to run all the way down this pipe and into the gearbox. Now before I go any further, I better make sure that it's actually going in properly. I'll just let this drain. Right, let's have a look and just make sure that it's going in and not all flowing out. That all seems fine. And no leaks underneath, so that's good. So we'll just carry on. I won't film the whole thing, or maybe I'll just time lapse this bit. But essentially, you're going to put, well, it's almost 2 liters, 1.9, and I'll come back when that's done. Okay, quick update. Transmission oil is all done. It took I'm estimating 1.85 litres, so there was obviously still a little bit left in there. But just as I got past 1.8 litres, started dribbling from the filler neck. So buttoned that all up, put a little bit of thread sealant on that one as well. Probably not necessary, but I did it anyway. And had a little bit of a problem with the jack getting the car back down again, the vehicle back down, or rather getting the wheel back on. So I had to jack it up in order to get the wheel back on, and the jack went all wonky. So I had to bring another one in, lift the front a little bit, reset that one, and then we went from there. But it is a little bit of a problem with these trolley jacks on this sort of uneven surface. This is it's an earthen floor, and it has rocks in it, stones, and of course it's not 100% smooth, unlike nice smooth cement floor. So that's a little bit of a challenge with this sort of working environment. But anyway, we got it sorted. Right, so that leaves the air filter and the pollen filter. Those are the last two remaining things. The air filter is down here on the driver's side. I'm going to bring you in closer, obviously, and we'll take a look at how to remove that, get that replaced. Should be reasonably straightforward, hopefully. I think it's just a case of removing a pipe and a cable, unclipping the cover, and you should then get access to the filter. I hope that's what it looks like. Again, not an expert, and learning as I go here. But that one, think we can get buttoned up reasonably quickly. The pollen filter, actually, I'd already removed the pollen filter prior to starting the video because we had an issue with it not getting air into the cabin, and I wondered whether the pollen filter was clogged. It was not too bad. Ultimately that wasn't the problem. Actually, the problem was behind the dash. One of the selector cables had become caught. Managed to get that freed up, and now that's all sorted. But the point is, I won't be showing you how to remove the pollen filter, but I will be showing you how to put it back in again. So we'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, let me bring you in, and we'll take a look at this air filter. Okay, I'm going to have to try and work around this light so that you can see what's going on in here. It looks like we've got a clip on this side. Can't see how to release it. Okay. It's actually on the back, so there's you push that and then, or pull it rather. Yeah, anyway, there we go. Okay, so that was reasonably straightforward. Try and get this clamp off. Okay. There we go. I don't know if there's... Oh, there's clamps at the back as well. Looks like only the one. Oh, it doesn't... Oh, okay. And then that comes out. How does it come out? This way. There we go. Oh, that's dirty. Lots of bugs, but also quite a lot of dirt in the veins. So we'll get that out. Okay, I believe probably this tray will come out as well. Let's get a screwdriver. So this is the air intake side. So the air is coming, I don't know if you can see back here. No, you can't, but there's the air inlet is at the back here, and that runs obviously through to the front grill. And I believe that this should come out. There we go. And that can be cleaned, but also try and get some of this huge leaves that have been sucked up in. So, well, not huge leaves, but you know, huge for what we're talking about. Yeah, I'm going to get a little vacuum and just vacuum in here before we put the new filter in. Try to give you a little bit of better angle there. Hopefully that's a little bit better, but so you can see down in here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, we'll get this grill back in. And then we can put the new filter in. There's a new one, much better. And of course it goes this way. There we go, real easy. Let's check inside this cover. Nothing too concerning in there. Not really sure what this huge protrusion is on the top. I guess it serves some sort of purpose. Now when you're putting this back in, looks like there are some tags at the back that you need to get hooked back in. Obviously I can't show you that on the camera, but if you're doing this job, just look for those. Yeah, you see, and then that lines up. There. Alright, we can put these clips back on. Done. Get the pipe back on. Clamp. This light's going to be annoying. There are special pliers that you can buy for these clamps as well, which are a little bit safer than these. So I might get myself a pair, because they have cups on the end, on the jaws, which help to grab these and tend to not slip off sideways, which is what these tend to do. As soon as you change the angle on them, they slip off. You do not want to get your hands anywhere in there, by the way. Don't be tempted to try and guard it with your fingers, because I've seen these things come out and actually cause sparks with the force that they're coming out. So yeah. Anyway, that's on. And we can put our cable back in. Only goes one way. Job done. Air filter changed. Right, we'll get the pollen filter done now. That's inside the cab, so we'll have to take you in there again. It's probably going to be awkward to film, but I will try my best. Okay, we're here on the passenger side. Now I'm definitely not going to be able to film in here, but I guess I'll just show you first. Under what's effectively the cubby hole, you've got this structure here. Now there's two screws, if I remember, 2 or 3 screws you've got to take out, and then that basically comes down and your filter goes in there. You have to sort of squeeze the filter slightly to get it out and get it back in again. It'll be obvious when you do it, but essentially I'm going to do that quickly. I'm not going to film that. It's just going to be far too awkward to film in here and work at the same time. So there are other videos on YouTube if you really get stuck. People have managed it, but I honestly don't know how they did. Possibly with a phone, that might work better, but certainly not with this camera. Anyway, so I'm going to crack on with that, and then we'll finish up. Just a couple of quick things. It's not, sorry, mistaken, not this. You can see it's that. There's this little panel that comes off. Looks like that. Really can't show it in here, but it's just a little panel. There's 2 bolts that hold it in. The bolts are 5.5mm socket, standard socket. If you've got one, most small socket sets have them. I've now just put the filter in, so you can see it just sitting in there. One other thing to be aware of is that there are arrows on the filter that indicate the direction of airflow, and just to let you know that the air is flowing that way, So sort of from the passenger door towards the center of the vehicle, if that makes sense, to the center of the dash, is the correct direction, or is the direction of airflow. So just so you know. All right. So I just got to button that up, and then we're done. Okay, well, that about does it. Wraps it up, I think. So just as a reminder, we've done the oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, pollen filter, replaced the coolant, and changed the gearbox oil, which is a pretty good service. The things that we've not done is, excuse me, anything on the brakes. We haven't changed the brake fluid, and we haven't changed the power steering fluid, but I have checked the power steering fluid and it looks okay. The brakes, I'll do those, like I said, I think at the start of the previous video, when the pads are worn out a little bit more, I'll replace certainly the discs and the pads. We'll check the calipers at that time, but then we'll also flush the brake fluid out and make sure that we've got fresh brake fluid. Looking at the service record, it looks like that was done at about 140 or 130,000 miles. It's now sitting at 170, so it's not urgent. If you're interested on this, the cam belt was done at 154, I think it was, 1,000 miles. So that's relatively new, and that shouldn't need to be done for quite a while. It is important to keep up on those, because if they do break, it can cause a lot of engine damage. So I'm glad that that's been done, and I've actually got the receipt, so I know that it has been done, or at least I can be reasonably certain it's been done, of course. Anyway, listen, that's it. That's the camper van. There'll be other videos on this. I think I mentioned that I wanted to have a look at the locks on these doors, so that'll be a separate video. I'll get into that. I need to do a little bit more research on those, and then we'll get into that. I feel like there's something else I wanted to do as well, but anyway, the point is we will have a couple of videos more on this before, or interspersed with all the other stuff that we're getting on with. I think the next video I want to get on with the mudguards on the Ferguson. That's now long overdue. In the background, I have been making a form out of wood in order to help me bend those curves on the edges and the curls, basically. So I'll be making a form for that. I'm just about done. I'll probably finish that this afternoon, and then I can start filming the repair of that mudguard where the rot was. But anyway, that'll be the next video. Hope that you've enjoyed this. I know it's very, very different to what we normally do. But it is something that we get up to, and I hope that the diversity on the channel is appreciated. But yeah, I think all that remains is to wish you a good week. Hope that you hope that you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you on the next one. Cheers for now.